Hello and welcome to We Are Nantucket. We are grateful to the Massachusetts Department of Education for their grant for the after-school programs and also to the Dreamland Theater Foundation. Who I am most grateful for are the students who have been doing the interviewing, learning the technique of interviews. I think the most important thing about this exercise and project is that the students learn to question and listen very carefully and ask follow-up questions of the adults, and they learn a lot of other people's experiences.
This is November 15th, 2022, and I am interviewing Jivko Kalpazanov, sorry.
Close enough. Don't worry about it.
Can you tell me about growing up in Bulgaria?
Growing up in Bulgaria was fun. For better or worse, I grew up under a communist government. Everything was very secure, almost like living on Nantucket. Not a great comparison, but very safe environment. And I had a lot of fun.
Can you tell me what going to school was like in Bulgaria?
I love to go to school, believe it or not. And the school system in my home country, it's different than the school system here in the United States. My co-students were always the same for every class, and we will move as a group from one subject to another. That made us very close together, and I could say that all my classmates were my friends. We respect each other, and we play together, and we will do everything together. It was between 20 to 30 people. It was a pretty big group of students.
So where did you go to college?
I ended up going to University of Sofia in my capital city. I wasn't sure at the time that was the right university for me. I was accepted in half a dozen universities, but the reason that I picked up the University of Forestry, it's my hometown, it's in the forest, and the whole thinking behind it was that I'll go to university that will bring me back to my hometown.
So you said when you were in college, you went to college for forestry. Can you tell me what that was?
The University of Forestry, and especially my major, forest engineer, it's a very broad major. I learned how to create roads into the forest, how to build houses, how to do excavation, how to harvest logs. I graduated as a forest engineer. I don't have a single day working at the forest enterprise. My life went in a different direction. After I graduated the University of Forestry, I started to work as a landscape architect, and this is how I started to gain my landscaping experience. I'm very grateful that I went to the University of Forestry because probably to sound a little bit like a cliche, but prepared me a lot for what was ahead of me.
So how did you end up getting to Nantucket?
I was working as a landscape architect in our capital city, and at some point something clicked in my head that probably I should go abroad and see how the work is done out of my home country. I decided to apply for a work abroad, and I applied in a company that was providing employees to 380 employers in New England. And somehow my paperwork ended up here on Nantucket, and I got selected for the position of gardener or landscaper and got here.
When you told your wife that you were moving, or not, well, you were going to the United States to work, what was her thought on that?
She wasn't happy about it. And very understandable. When basically I came for the first year to Nantucket, I left my wife and my daughter home. My daughter was only 3 weeks old. That probably it was harder on my wife, basically taking care of our daughter by herself and with the help of her parents and my parents than me being in a new place and adapting to a new life. Nobody was happy about it. My mother was telling me that I'm crazy, that I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm leaving my family behind to chase a dream. And I've heard the same words from my wife's mother, that going to not to a different country, to a different continent was something strange for them. For me, I was excited. I wanted to see something new. I wanted to learn new things.
What business were you working for when you came to Nantucket?
Basically, I was working for G&M Landscape Services when I came in 2000, and I started as a regular gardener. And during the years, I climbed the ladder. I think it's the term to use. I became in charge of one crew. After that, in another crew, I became the manager, the construction manager for the company. And the business owners at 2005 offered me a full partnership, and I accepted it. That from employee, I grew up to a co-owner of the company for 5 years.
What was it like for you when you moved onto the island?
When I moved to the island, on the second week I felt home. One thing that comes natural to me, it's adapting to new environments and new establishments. That I didn't feel homesick. I felt like home, like I said, on the second week. Nothing looked strange to me. Basically, everything looked very normal and how it's supposed to be. When I heard that the second name of Nantucket is the Gray Lady, because it's gray and not welcoming and not cheerful. I'm not sure what type of word to use. That wasn't for me. I loved it.
Can you tell me about your other business that you started in 2007?
In 2007, we opened another company, part of our existing business. That having year-round employees that you cannot keep busy with landscaping year-round, I came up with this solution that if we do something over the winter, that it's not so much dependent on the weather. I can keep those guys busy around. And another great business on Nantucket, it's caretaking and construction. And with my business partners at the time, we opened a second entity that the name was Voivoda Management, that was doing caretaking, replacing windows, replacing decks. This is how it started, with small stuff, repair, any type of repairs that are associated with the buildings. And over the years, this company grew and grew. And from a business to keep our landscape employees busy over the winter became a full-size year-round company. And nowadays, we are doing a lot of house renovations, building pools, cabanas, garages, garage apartments, any type of construction that it's needed for our clients. I'm working on several projects, from new installations to working on houses that or properties that are 300-year-old, and you try to do your best to make landscaping being in balance with the old buildings, and in the same time on a new construction you do landscaping that accommodates the needs of the new owners.
Did you ever get to build cars or do something in that industry?
One thing that I enjoy to do a lot, that it's similar to building cars, it's restoring cars. I restore European motorcycles and European vehicles. I ended up restoring a Jeep several years ago that I did a full frame-off restoration on a 1979 CJ7 Renegade. And I had a lot of fun doing this project, and this was kind of my dream come true, not building a new vehicle, but restoring a vehicle to its stock components and how the vehicle would have looked coming out of the factory in this particular year. I do it as a hobby, and I wish that I have more time to do it.
After you have restored the vehicle, what do you do with it? Do you just keep it?
Yes, I enjoy riding them, if it's a motorcycle, or driving it if it's a vehicle. For example, we love to attend Daffodil Parade, and we attended with one of my motorcycles, or one of my motorcycles with a sidecar, and the Jeep that I restored several years ago. And we love to be part of this event. It's the best event ever, if you ask me, for the spring, that people can come together and share between themselves how their winter went and what it's new in their lives. Especially enjoying the beautiful daffodils that are blooming all over the island.
Do you have any advice to give to me?
Not so much like advice, but I can share with you my experience. The things that you plan, they don't usually happen. If they happen, you're lucky. But if they don't happen, don't give up. You never know what is in front of you, and you don't have to be afraid of it. As long as you're willing to adapt and change your priorities and change your way of thinking, that in the end you'll be able to figure it out. Nobody was born knowing what is going to happen in his life, or what he's going to do, or how everything will line up. That this shouldn't scare you. Actually, this should excite you. That the thing that you have to try to do is to get prepared. And in order to get prepared, you have to learn stuff. You have to learn stuff every day. And you can learn them through internet, you can learn them from school, you can learn them from your co-peers, you can learn them from your parents, you can learn them from everybody. But you have to be willing to do that. And if you are willing to learn something new every day, you'll be able to figure out whatever the life throws at you. That this is the way that I was dealing with the obstacles that were in front of me in my life.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for the time that you spent preparing questions, and I hope that I was up to the task answering them.